And welcome. The time is now 7:30, and I would like to open the public portion of the May 7th, 2024 Richfield Park Board of Education meeting. Let's begin with a salute to the flag. Mr. Cash, can you please read the Open Public Meetings Act?
The New Jersey Open Public Meetings Law was enacted to ensure the right of the public to have advance notice of and to attend the meetings of public bodies at which any business affecting their interests is discussed or acted upon. In accordance with the provisions of this act, the Richfield Park Board of Education has caused notice of this meeting to be published by having the date, time, and place hereof posted in the Bergen Record, Star Ledger, Municipal Building, Board of Education Office, and district website. Public participation will be conducted both in person and virtually through Zoom. All public will be muted throughout the meeting. Public participation comments are limited to 5 minutes. The public will be able to speak and be seen by the board when participating virtually, telephonically, via Zoom. Individuals participating virtually that wish to make comments during public participation will need to raise their hand by clicking the hand icon at the bottom of their Zoom window. Individuals participating by Zoom that wish to make comments during public participation will need to hit *9 on their telephone to raise their hand. The business administrator / board secretary will then unmute individuals one at a time to speak in order that their hand was raised.
Thank you. Mr. Bice, don't take this the wrong way, but her voice is much nicer than yours. Mr. Cash, may I please have a roll call?
Mr. Cooney,
Present.
Mrs. Kraft, Mr. Phytros, Mrs. McNeil,
Here.
Mr. Malul,
Here.
Mrs. Rodriguez,
Here.
Ms. Schmidt,
Here.
Ms. Velez,
Here.
Mrs. Orth,
Here.
President Martinez.
Here, and we have a quorum. Mr. Malou, could you please move the minutes from February 21st, 28th, and March 12th, 2024?
Yes, Mr. President, I move that the board approve the minutes of February 21st, February 28th, and March 12th, 2024.
Second.
Thank you. Communications from the public? I'm sorry, got ahead of myself. We need a roll call?
Mr. Cooney,
Yes.
Ms. McNeil,
Yes.
Mr. Malou,
Yes.
Ms. Rodriguez,
Yes.
Ms. Schmidt,
Yes.
Ms. Velez,
Yes.
Ms. Orth,
Yes.
President Martinez.
Yes, and the minutes pass. Communications from the public. I received several well-written and thoughtful letters from students. Jesse DiCiascio wrote me with concerns about bullying and students' mental health. Luna Penzalona with concerns about vaping and self-harm among fellow students. And Rafaela Gobriel expressed concerns and some good ideas about alleviating the long lunch lines that take up most of the already short lunch periods kids have. Dr. Vespiani making a brief comment about these topics. I just wanted to say with respect to the issue well, first of all, thank you all for expressing these concerns about your fellow students. We really do have to look out for each other, and it's heartwarming to see you guys looking out for your peers. With respect to issues of self-harm, I can tell you from personal experience that the school administration teachers do an excellent job of receiving any sort of tips or advice that you have. If one of your friends is in trouble, whether somebody's hurting them or they're hurting themselves, my experience with the school system has been that the teachers respond very, very well and get the person help without embarrassing them, without revealing who gave the tip, so to speak. And so I encourage you to continue to look out for your fellow peers. Dr. V, would you like to make a comment about our anti-bullying or anti-vaping or the lunch issue?
Thank you, President Martinez. And again, thank you to those who shared those letters with President Martinez. Yeah, these are all areas that we take very seriously. And, you know, we absolutely have on our radar. You know, this points to the very reason why we have recommended to the board to include such positions as the student assistance coordinator and also increasing a shared counselor with Little Ferry to a full-time counselor by way of the budget. So, you know, we're trying to ensure that we have the appropriate resources for our students. And to echo what President Martinez had shared, you know, the administration is always, you know, on the ball and focused on these efforts. So we'll continue to do so. Thank you.
The issue of the lunch periods, we're looking at that, right?
Yeah, you know, I'm actually planning on getting in where I've, you know, have visited sporadically the lunch periods. A full lunch service is something I'm yet to you know, go through. So that's something that I'm very much interested in seeing firsthand.
Thank you. And again, thank you to the students. Before we provide committee reports, I would like to recognize Teacher Appreciation Week and National Nurses Week. On behalf of the board, I thank our district's teachers and our community's nurses for their invaluable work on the front lines of education and healthcare. Your work improves lives every day, far beyond the classroom and the bedside, and we see and appreciate you. So thank you. There was thunderous applause in the room. We'll move to committee reports. Buildings and Grounds, Trustee Cooney.
Thank you, Dr. Martinez. Buildings and Grounds Committee met on April 29th. In attendance were Superintendent of Schools, Dr. V, Assistant Superintendent, Ms. Triglia, Business Administrator, Mr. Beisig, District Operations Manager, Mr. Igu, myself, President Martinez, Trustee McNeil, and Trustee Schmidt. A couple of agenda items. Discussed the central office relocation. Dr. V discussed the final agreement for the central office relocation to be effective July 1st, 2024. Discussion of the pre-K location update. Dr. V reviewed the current pre-K classrooms, additional allocations for the 24-25 school year. All revised pre-K new classroom spaces awaiting final county approval once outfitted as classrooms within the required furniture. Flooring updates. District-wide flooring projects were completed over the break. This included buildings such as Roosevelt, which had select classrooms, Grant, which had select classrooms, and of course the high school's second floor. Electric signs updates. All signs have been installed. We're just waiting for Grant School to come online. Roosevelt and Lincoln School are fully operational, and the prior purchase order dating back to 2022 did not include all electronic signage to be installed through the assigned vendor, which is why we're still waiting on a little bit more for that to be completed. Additional purchase orders and costs were adjusted within this year to finish the signage installation. ROD grant application update. All ROD grants have been finalized before the last submission phase is completed. Once in line, provides the final confirmation surrounding the Lincoln Elementary HVAC for the cafeteria and gym. Currently, the system is fully functional and is awaiting the remaining lifespan for the current unit before authorizing this portion of the ROD grant for Lincoln School. Lastly, architecture of record, RFP. The RFP process was reviewed and the committee has approved moving forward with the RFP for an architectural firm to gauge other submissions and ensure that the architectural firm is aligned with the current vision of the board and administration. The meeting adjourned at 5:35 p.m. and our next meeting will be in June and the date is still to be determined. That concludes the Building and Grounds Committee meeting. Notes, thank you very much.
Thank you, Trustee Cooney. As always, an amazing report. Trustee Orth, policy.
The Policy Committee met on April 30th at 7 p.m. Present were Dr. Vespignani, Ms. Triglia, Mr. Beisig, Dr. Martinez, Trustee Orth, Trustee Malul, and Ms. Schmidt. The committee discussed the updated regulation 5440 on recognizing student achievement, which has been updated to better reflect our practices and offer a more comprehensive approach to our student achievement policy. Committee also discussed potential changes to regulations 5200, student attendance and chronic absenteeism, and policy 9130 on public complaints and grievances. We will continue to explore those updates in future meetings. Policy Committee has been undergoing a review of the bylaws portion of our district policy. We are largely, this has been a board goal for this year. We are largely done and hope to report a full review at one of the meetings before the end of June.
Thank you, trustee Ruth. Home to School Connection, Social Justice, trustee Rodriguez.
Thank you, Dr. Martinez. On May 2nd, 2024, the committee met. In attendance were Dr. Vespignani, Ms. Simona Nilian, Dr. Mercedes Abreu-Haynes, trustee Carol Velez, Mrs. Carmela Triglia, Mrs. Laura Woods, trustee Rodriguez, trustee Schmidt. The committee met on May 2nd, 2024. We discussed our next Parent Guardian Academy event, which will take place on Tuesday, May 28th at 6 p.m. Dr. Vespignani and Mrs. Triglia presented a flyer for this event. The event is designed for both parents and students in grades 7 through 12. Dr. Vespignani shared with the committee that Mrs. Triglia worked on developing a program on substance abuse issues, promoting a healthy lifestyle, and improving attendance, and working closely with the Student Assistant Coordinator, SAC. Our last and final community event for this academic school year offers a good opportunity for the community to become familiar with the SAC and also with the Wellness Center and its objectives. At our next Parent Guardian Academy event, the Student Assistant Coordinator is scheduled to present and explain the purpose and significance of the Wellness Center. The SAC coordinator will provide Mrs. Triglia with the presentation, possibly including a question and answer session. This will be the third and final presentation for this academic school year. And I just want to thank Dr. Vespignani and the community for offering and attending the prior to events and this event. Trustee Rodriguez inquired if younger siblings would attend and if there is a plan. Dr. B will explore the possibility of having an individual on site to watch young students if parents are unable to secure childcare. Trustee Velez sought clarification on certain aspects of the night, and Trustee Schmidt emphasized the importance of parents and students attending together. The committee briefly discussed communication strategies and community outreach. The committee briefly discussed additional workshops on child abuse prevention for various stakeholders, and Dr. Mercedes Haynes raised the topic of the 4th of July parade and fireworks at Overpeck Park. Next meeting will be in June. Exact date to be determined. The focus will be planning upcoming events, including discussions on social justice and pre-K updates. The pre-K committee will meet. The Pre-K Community Relation Committee will meet this Thursday at 9. This Thursday, May 9th.
Thank you, trustee Rodriguez. Faculty and Programs, trustee Velez.
Thank you. Programs Committee met on April 30th, 2024 at 6 p.m. In attendance, Dr. Vespignani, Ms. Triglia, Board President Dr. Martinez, Trustee Kraft, Trustee Rodriguez, and myself. A few items on the agenda were the update on the Before and After Care Program RFP. We have received a few responses. The administrative team is currently conducting a trend analysis and reviewing the applications. We discussed the substitute fill rates. Mr. Bisick and Dr. Vespignani are in the process of determining if we need to go out to RFP and explore other options to properly staff our schools when teachers are absent. The following ad hoc committees, we were giving a brief update on the ad hoc committees. Homeschool Connection has met to finalize the final event of the year. The Social Justice Committee, the administration will take a look at the structure of the committee, not scheduled yet. And as Trustee Rodriguez mentioned before, the pre-K update is scheduled to meet on May 9th. As discussed in length of lunch periods and speed of service, Dr. Martinez received letters from several students regarding the lack of time to eat. The flow of lunch periods at the junior, senior high school, 7th graders, Dr. Vespignani will investigate further. Also discussed was college counseling. A conversation was had regarding the amount of support juniors and seniors are receiving in the form of college counseling. proposed personal changes and how they might affect class sizes and RTI implementation. Trustee Rodriguez inquired about the impact of non-renewal and class size. Dr. Vespignani assured the committee that no classes would be at 27 students. They would be averaging 22 to 24, per our policy is 25. Is to be determined. Thank you.
Thank you, trustee Velez. Finance and Insurance, trustee McNeil.
Thank you. Our last meeting was on April 29th at 6 PM. Dr. Vespignani, Ms. Triglia, Mr. Beisig, Dr. Martinez, myself, Mr. Malul, and Ms. Orth were all in attendance. We discussed the 65 Challenger Road lease for the administration, which is a 4-year lease set to start on July 1st. And talked about the expenses related to that with the offset of some of the expense by servicing children in district within Lincoln School. We reviewed the ROD grant application update. Bids will be going out for all of the work, as Mr. Cooney mentioned, for the work to be next summer in 2025. Lincoln HVAC still to be determined. The school year 24-25 budget approval is on tonight's agenda. There were no changes from the original budget presentation, which was approved by the county. So we have that on tonight's agenda to approve. And we did briefly talk about the RFP that Mr. Cooney talked about for the district architect, and hope to have a decision by end of month, June, on that. There was other conversation regarding non-staff contract renewals that happened for July 1st. And the administration is taking a look at what they need to create RFPs for, if anything. Our next meeting date is to be determined due to the schedule of our upcoming meetings and the activity in the month of June. We likely will hold off on scheduling a June meeting unless there's something specific to be addressed, in which case we'll call an ad hoc meeting.
Thank you, trustee McNeil. Do you have any updates on negotiations?
Negotiations has not met since the last board meeting. We are still having conversation both with the attorney and with the bargaining units so that we can get that settled.
Thank you all. Superintendent's report.
Great. Thank you, President Martinez, and good evening to our community members and to the board. Great to be with you tonight. Staying true to the agenda, I respectfully submit the HIB report that was presented to the board in executive session. And very excited to welcome our athletic director, Mr. Ramundi, to recognize some outstanding achievement from our winter sports season. Thank you, Mr. Ramundi, for joining.
Thank you, Dr. Vespignani. I appreciate it. I'd like to ask Bree to come on up with Coach Seuss. And just stand here to be recognized. Tonight we have with us Bree Cooney, who is received the accolade of first team all-county wrestler. I don't know how many of you are aware how the girls wrestling program in the state of New Jersey is really taking off, and specifically in Bergen County. And Bree came out and really put her mark on Bergen County girls wrestling this winter by wrestling a lot of tough matches and going up to Ramsey and winning the tournament to give herself all county. She represented us down at the region tournament out in Vernon and came this close to making the state tournament. And basically as a beginner, really, she's out there and she did a really, really good job. And I also want to recognize Coach Seuss. Coach Seuss is an all-star. He is an absolute all-star. He coaches 3 sports. And during wrestling season, he's responsible for all the matches, all the tournaments, and they go 7 days a week. So they're wrestling Friday night, Saturday, Sunday. They're at the tournaments and they don't stop. So I'm so appreciative to have, Coach Seuss on our staff guiding these kids. He's such a good role model. He's been fortunate enough to coach Bree both in volleyball and wrestling, and we're so fortunate to have him. And I'm so very proud of Bree because we talk all the time about student athletes and being held to a higher standard. And Bree does everything right. She is what I like to call a high character kid. Her brother's here supporting her tonight. She's been in the role of supporting him. but he's been doing that a lot this year because Bree is doing a lot of great things for us as a Scarlet athlete. She's also in the middle of a tremendous track season, which I don't want to jinx anything, but she's doing a great job, and we're looking forward to the conclusion of the track season with Bree. So, I would like everyone, to give a round of applause to Bree Cooney, first team All-County wrestler. So if you guys want to come up and take some pictures, but I know Mr. Cooney's on the board here. Come on out and take some pictures with your daughter. Sure. Yeah. Back up. And just very briefly, before I go, I'd be remiss if I just want to thank the board, and I want to thank Dr. Vespignani, Mr. Bisig, Ms. Triglia, and Mr. Ego over here. I've been here a long time, and I've taken notice how immaculate our grounds look. It's really nice, that we have professionals that come down here and really give us something to take pride in. I've never seen the courtyard look so good. The upstairs is coming together so nice. It's nice to see the vision really coming to reality, and I appreciate you guys so much for that. I've said in the past, I'm rejuvenated to come to work every day. It's really awesome to see that. Not only that, but it allows, our fields are challenging when it rains, and it frees up our Mr. O'Grady to get out there and really focus on the field and get our fields ready to play for our kids. And we haven't really missed too many games, even though it's rained a lot this spring. So I just want to say, from the bottom of my heart, I appreciate you guys very much. And it's really nice to see these visions come to reality. So I mean that with the utmost appreciation. So thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Raimondi, for joining us and for that feedback. And again, congratulations to Coach Seuss. And to Bree, of course, and her family. Congratulations. Mr. Cooney?
Thank you, Dr. V. Very quickly before you leave, of course, Mr. Raimondi, Coach Seuss, we have, as you know, we have great teachers here. We have great staff members. We have great coaches. And it's not always expressed and celebrated. And in this case, I've known Mr. Raimondi for some time now. Both of my children have grown through the system. And however, Coach Seuss, I just met recently when he became the head volleyball coach. My daughter loved volleyball again. She appreciated it. And when the next season came, she never thought about wrestling, not once, but it just goes to show when you have a coach or a teacher or someone in the building who can affect the students of our district and teach them to try new things and find yourself. She did this in 2 months, but you know, she can have the trophies, she can have the titles, but I want to say thank you to Dr. Seuss. Sorry. I want to say thank you to Coach Seuss because that is a model example that I really appreciate. So thank you, sincerely, thank you, and of course, Mr. Ramondi, thank you all for your support and helping Bree and both brethren grow. We appreciate you. Thank you.
All right, always wonderful to recognize some student accomplishments, and in this case, athletics. Thank you again. I wanted to welcome and introduce our student liaisons, Riley and Leah, for their report.
Good evening. My name is Riley Nagel, and I'm the Student Body Vice President.
Good evening. My name is Leah Varela, and I'm the Student Body Secretary. We would like to give you an update on some of the activities that have taken place at Richfield Park Junior Senior High School. We have had many class trips throughout the building these last few weeks and have more coming up. In April, Mrs. Rama's Spanish 4 went to Felician University as they hosted the Hispanic Art and Dance Company. They enjoyed a variety of Spanish and Latin American song and dance. Ms. Peterson's forensics class took a trip to the county jail to tour the criminal forensics lab. Our multilingual learners took a trip to Ellis Island. Finally, Mr. Steffen's aviation class had a unique experience last week when North Star, a helicopter from the New Jersey State Police, landed on the field. They shared aviation, rescue, medical transport, and more. Later this week, Mrs. Grandolph's Investing for Tomorrow's students will go to the Federal Reserve.
For sports, baseball is now 11-7 and has won the league championship for the 3rd consecutive year in a row. They qualified for states for the first round on May 23rd. Our softball team now stands at 14-6 with a very demanding schedule. They won the league for the 2nd year in a row, were seeded 3rd in the county, and are looking at a great seed for states. The spring track team just completed their dual meet season and division championships. Both programs finished their dual season above 500, and 14 athletes earned all division honors. This weekend, they will be competing in the county group championship at Old Tappan High School. Finally, the student government is now accepting applications for next year's class officers as we wind down the school year. At the next few meetings, we will have some of our junior officers attending the board meetings. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you, Riley and Leah. We appreciate that report. In school news, at the K-6 level, elementary schools hosted pep rallies to provide expectations and motivation for the start of NJSLA testing, which began today. Students had opportunities to compete against each other in fun activities. Congratulations to Lincoln School's Isabella Dutan for coming in 2nd place for her artwork in the Arbor Day contest. Congratulations to Lincoln School's Ellie Iscaros for making the NJ Federation of Women's Club State Spelling Bee round, which she recently attended. Congratulations are also in order to Grand School's Ree Mahara for receiving honorable mention in the My County poster sponsored by the Bergen County Clerk's Office. Her work will be printed in the 2025 County Clerk's calendar. Also, congratulations to Grand School's Valerie Mansilla for winning 1st place and Luna Steedle for winning 3rd place in the Ridgefield Park's Arbor Day Art Contest. On May 3rd, we had some pre-K students visit Roosevelt School for a tour of the facilities, highlighted by the 2 kindergarten classrooms. Pre-K students were able to sit on the reading carpets and experience what a day may be like as a kindergarten student. At our junior senior high school on Monday, April 29th, I had the pleasure of attending the junior senior high school's 1st annual student showcase event. Students had the opportunity to share their works ranging from the fine arts to musical performances, samples from the culinary program, and highlights from some of the courses offered. The event was extremely well attended and well organized. I know Assistant Superintendent Ms. Trigley and I were able to tour and engage with the students, and we were really, really impressed with the level of quality and the dedication of the students and the staff who were there that evening. So congratulations on a really great night. Students in Ms. Grandolph's Investing for Tomorrow class participated in the statewide stock market competition, in which students are given hypothetically $100,000 to invest in stocks, mutual funds, and or bonds. Nearly 3,000 students participate statewide. And I'm pleased to share that Ridgefield Park student AJ Manalo finished in 9th place with a profit of 41,000, and 8 other students finished in the top 100. Clearly a really great effort by the staff and students, so congratulations. Lastly, in school news, art and music students are preparing for the annual Bergen County Teens Arts Festival at Bergen County Community College, where we will be competing in band and chorus competitions, as well as student artists submitting their works for critique. As previously shared, this week we are recognizing various staff appreciation, teacher appreciation week, of course, and School Nurses Day is tomorrow. When I think about appreciation and teachers, I often, think about my schooling and teachers who had an impact on me. And I always think of Senora Feder, who was my high school Spanish teacher, who in part had really inspired me to move into the education profession and ultimately to begin my career as an elementary school Spanish teacher. When I think of Senora Feder, I think of in Spain, where part of my family's from, and it's common to talk about someone's forma de ser, their way of being. And when I think of her way of being, I think of a very gentle, kind, caring, dedicated person who always took concern for her students on a daily basis. So to our staff and teachers, I just wanted to pause and formally recognize your efforts. Please know how appreciated your work and efforts are on a daily basis. I know undoubtedly there are some days where it may not feel that way, but I am certain that there will be students who remember you for your forma de ser. So thank you for your efforts. And in a similar vein, at the next board meeting on May 22nd, we will be recognizing our Teachers of the Year. So I hope that we'll have a nice attendance for that. And the following day, I'll be joining those 4 teachers at the Bergen County Luncheon. Some more information on that. Just a few upcoming events. The Early Childhood Advisory Council, usually referred to as the ECAC, will be having its first meeting with our director, Ms. Costello, on May 22nd at 11:30 a.m. Additional information can be found on the pre-K website on our website. Pre-K registration is open and the lottery is set for Thursday, May 30th. Additional information is forthcoming. As mentioned by Trustee Rodriguez, on Tuesday, May 28th, we will have our 3rd and final parent guardian event geared towards our junior senior high school at 6 o'clock here in the CAF. Flyer will be distributed later this week with additional information. On agenda, very pleased to be recommending to the board the final budget. And again, just wanted to pause and thank Mr. Bisick and the central office administrative team for all of their hard work in getting this across the finish line. So that is much appreciated. And lastly, just upcoming on Sunday, wanted to wish all of the mothers in our schools and our community a very happy Mother's Day. I hope you have a wonderful day, but also wanted to be mindful of those who may be still pursuing their path towards motherhood or parenthood. Never give up and keep moving forward. At this time, to conclude my report, I would like to excuse our student liaisons. Thank you again, so you can tend to your other responsibilities. And thank you, President Martinez.
Thank you, Dr. Vespignani. State Monitors Report, Mr. Egan.
Yes, good evening all. As everybody can hear, in all areas, the district is moving forward in the right direction. I've reviewed the agenda, discussed things with the superintendent, and I support all items on the agenda for passage. I'd also like to point out to the public, we had a review by the county, the QSAC review, they call it. We did very well. Those numbers and details will be given at a different date, but we basically did well. On the financial end, as the board knows already, and for the public, we're doing very well. We have reserves to continue. One of the major projects, major goals, is to fix our facilities, and with the help of proper planning and also with additional grants, which will go forward at each board meeting. And everybody will see it this summer, the construction that will be done um, uh, in the district this summer. We're going in the right direction. Very happy. Congratulations. Thank you. Doing my report.
Thank you, Mr. Egan. And as a taxpayer for Richfield Park, I thank the state for your support and guidance over the, I guess it's been more than 10 years of state monitorship. It hasn't been easy, and we look forward again to the day when we don't need a state monitor, but we thank you for your work with the administration. Every single item that comes before the board for approval has been pre-approved by the state monitor. The administration always tells us that, you know, Mr. Egan signed off on this, Mr. Egan was briefed on this. So we thank the state for your support. And we will now move to citizens' comments on agenda. Do we have any signatures? I don't think I saw anybody. Do we have anyone to elevate? Want to elevate? We'll give them 30 seconds. Generous. Okay, I'm going to assume that we cannot compete with the beautiful day outside. We'll close the public comment period. We'll now move to our agenda items. Trustee Orth, can you please move policy and regulations 1001?
I move 1001.
Second.
Any comments or questions? Okay, can I have a roll call, please?
Mr. Cooney,
Yes.
Mrs. McNeil,
Yes.
Mr. Malul,
Yes.
Mrs. Rodriguez,
Yes.
Ms. Schmidt,
Yes.
Ms. Velez,
Yes.
Ms. Orth,
Yes.
and President Martinez.
Yes, and the resolution passes. Trustee Velez, can you please move faculty and programs 1101 to 11.4?
I so move faculty and programs 1101 to 1104.
Second.
Do you have any questions or comments from the board? Seeing none, can I please have a roll call?
Mr. Cooney,
Yes.
Ms. McNeil,
Yes.
Mr. Malul,
Yes.
Mrs. Rodriguez,
Yes.
Ms. Schmidt,
Yes.
Ms. Velez,
Yes.
Ms. Orth,
Yes.
President Martinez.
Yes, and the resolutions pass. Trustee Cooney, can you please move buildings and grounds 1201 to 1202?
Sure. Buildings and Grounds Resolutions 12.01 and 12.02. I so move.
Second.
Do you have any questions or comments on buildings and grounds? Okay, seeing none, can I please have a roll call?
Mr. Cooney,
Yes.
Ms. McNeil,
Yes.
Mr. Malul,
Yes.
Ms. Rodriguez,
Yes.
Ms. Schmidt,
Yes.
Ms. Velez, Ms. Orth,
Yes.
President Martinez.
Yes, and the resolutions pass. Trustee McNeil, can you please move finance and insurance 1301 to 1310?
Sure. I move 1301 through 1310.
Second.
Do we have any questions or comments from the board on finance and insurance?
Just one quick comment. I did make this same comment when the preliminary budget was presented to the public. There have been no changes since the preliminary to the final, but I do want to recognize Mr. Bisig, Dr. Vespignani, and the administrative team for putting together a solid budget and ensuring that the entire board was on board with the budget before it was presented. So I wholeheartedly support 1301.
Can I please have a roll call?
Mr. Cooney,
Yes.
Ms. McNeil,
Yes.
Mr. Malul,
Yes.
Ms. Rodriguez,
Yes.
Ms. Schmidt,
Yes.
Ms. Velez,
Yes.
Ms. Orth,
Yes.
President Martinez.
Yes, and the resolutions pass. Trustee Malou, can you please move consent agenda 1401?
Yes, Mr. President, I move consent agenda item number 1401.
Second.
Any questions or comments on consent agenda? Seeing none, can I have a roll call, please?
Mr. Cooney,
Yes.
Ms. McNeil,
Yes.
Mr. Malul,
Yes.
Ms. Rodriguez,
Yes.
Ms. Schmidt,
Yes.
Ms. Velez,
Yes.
Ms. Orth,
Yes.
President Martinez.
Yes, and the resolution passes. Trustee Velez, would you please move personnel 1501 to 1507?
Sure. I so move personnel 1501 to 1507.
Second.
Second.
Do we have any questions on personnel from the board? Seeing none, can I have a roll call?
Mr. Cooney,
Yes.
Ms. McNeil,
Yes.
Mr. Malul,
Yes.
Ms. Rodriguez,
Yes.
Ms. Schmidt,
Yes.
Ms. Velez,
Yes.
Ms. Orth,
Yes.
President Martinez.
Yes, and the resolutions pass. We will now listen to citizens' comments off agenda. We have none present. Do we have anyone to elevate? Must be really nice outside, huh? I'm very jealous. Okay. I will close citizens' comments off agenda. As always, anybody from the public, feel free to contact the administration with questions directly. May I please have a motion to close the meeting?
I make a motion.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
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 Good night, everybody.
Have a great